All right. Okay, I guess it auto went live. Hey, if you're here and you saw that mess, I guess I'm not the only person streaming right now. Do Game Jam, Gleam Game Jam, and it kicked off yesterday, but I wasn't able to do anything other than come up with some ideas. So here we are, um, and I'm gonna get started today. So we can. I'm trying to find where the file was that I had my notes in. Let's see if Zed knows where it is, and then I'll share my screen in just a moment. Open recent. No. Okay. So here, I'll just go ahead and share my screen. It's going to be a mess, but this is kind of spur of the moment anyway. So okay, it was a markdown file. Did I put it in here? There it is. Okay. Okay, so wrong project. Let's see. I don't have any. I've got Essentials of Compilation open. Here, let's get just get a new window, and then hopefully that'll open up the new window. There we go. Okay. Here's my ideas. The theme. Oops. The theme of the Game Jam is. Shout out to Renata for that. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. So obviously we could go real trippy direction, but the first things that came to mind for me yesterday were like a side-scrolling space shooter, so like Gradius, but make it really cute. A lot of these ideas I have, like, we have to collect diamonds, so we're definitely going to need a diamond model. I think we can probably use one of the built-in 3.js geometries for that. Should be fine. Making the texture will be, or making the material will be interesting. Could do a combination of reflective and transparent or something. Anyway, so side-scrolling space shooter. It could be overhead. It could be, I just said side-scrolling. I don't know if any of you played Tyrion back in the day. I played hours and hours and hours of that. Got really good at it. And then I think it came out on emulation or something a while back, and I tried playing it again. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is hard. How did I ever play this? But I was a teenager. So, okay. So we could do something like Gradius or, or like maybe like a Space Invaders type thing. So you collect diamonds, get more powerful. We could maybe do like, like what a lot of roguelikes do, where when you level up, you get a choice between three things. We could choose power-ups like that. That'd be interesting. Another one I thought of was there was a game for the Sega Saturn called Nights into Dreams, which is a pretty cute game, ultimately. At the time, it was really hard, and it was like the first 3D game I'd ever seen or tried to play. And I didn't have a Saturn, so I just played it at a friend's house. But the concept of it was that you were going through a side-scrolling world. You're auto-progressing. I say side-scrolling it, but it was like 3D, and you'd go around a loop. And you had to collect like rings or something as you went around the loop. And if you missed them, like, you would have to go you'd have to turn around and go back, or you would have to continue around until you got them, and there was like a time limit on it. Um, but ultimately, I think each of the levels was like after you did 4 loops, um, you fought the boss, and it had a few special moves that you could do, like a drill spin thing, and so we could do something like that. At some point, we won't get there, but I'll need to pull out my gamepad. I have an old Microsoft controller that I could plug in, and we can try that. So my third idea is skydiving. So if you've played Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom, you know about skydiving and the trials there that get you when you go through them, you get the suit. If you beat the time limit. So we could do something like that. As far as diamonds, I thought on this one it could be, either you have to collect the diamonds as you go down, or I don't know. But skydiving could be kind of a fun thing. It's like you're really only controlling 2D, but the world is 3D. My fourth one was like, and I'm inspired by Tears of the Kingdom a lot. That was one of my favorite games. But a climbing platformer. So the idea would be, you've got a sack of diamonds and you've got to climb up to give them to Lucy. And if you fall and you take damage, you could lose some. Or if you take damage from enemies or like damaging obstacles, you could lose some. We could do WASD, like all these. So I really feel like 2 and 3 have to be 3D. 1 could be 2D, or we could do like limited perspective 3D. And actually, I think like not having to do both camera controls and character controls could be a nice constraint to make sure that we get things done. And for 4, we could do 2D, we could do 3D, like, so it could be, Mario 64-esque or something like that. And you have to climb. The nice thing about 4 is that we could, they have the Rapier physics engine in Rust bundled with Tiramisu. It's as a WASM module that you can link to, which is pretty awesome. So we could make use of that. Again, so the things that we kind of need, regardless of which idea we pick, we need it like a 3D model of Lucy. And I spun up Blender yesterday, and I was immediately lost. I don't know what I'm doing. I thought maybe we can look into that today. I thought maybe what we could do is model it in an SCAD, open SCAD, and if that model can be extracted in something that 3.js can load, then we could use that. That would be a nice way to speed up the development of that, and I won't have to learn Blender. I'll just have to learn some geometry, and that's fine. Okay, so character controls, I think this is the thing that I want to get done today, or at least get started. So we'll make gamepad and keyboard bindings. Obviously, we're gonna need UI. So like health bars, scores, menus, etc. Especially, we're going to need a menu for the character control bindings, and we'll have some defaults there. Some other things that we might want might be local storage stuff. So this could be some FFI that we write in JavaScript. Keep settings or top scores or something like that. Okay, so I think that this is a good place to get started. And 1 second, I'm going to make sure that, yeah, Lucy in the Sky at Diamonds, there you go. I'm going to make sure that we've got, my stream is actually going and I'm not just talking to the ether. So let me pull this over here and have a look. Okay. Yeah, we're going. So cool. And let's get started. Okay, so we're gonna hello. Oh, I need to go. My home directory. It didn't open in my home directory. That's weird. All right, so we can follow the tiramisu guide again to get started. I think we were using mascarpone. Okay. I don't know. The thing is, I don't know if we need the setup, but maybe it'll just get us started. And the other thing I want to do is create a repo to put this in. So, so let's do this. Oh, okay. So we need to do Gleam New. Oops, Gleam New Game Jam. Okay, and then we can run mascarpone. Mascarpone? I don't know. Okay, add dev mascarpone. Gleam run mascarpone. Okay, so it's adding all that business. Okay. Include Luster. Yes, we want to have UI overlays. I don't know what nw.js is. Okay. So here's the thing. Given our ideas, I actually think that even if we do idea 1, even if we do idea 1, I think we're going to want 3D. It just means we're going to have to change some of the template stuff. And I think that's okay. Do we want desktop bundle? Maybe. That could be nice. We could put it in GitHub releases. You know, I'm probably just going to test in the browser. I don't see why I wouldn't. Let's give it a shot. We'll bundle for desktop. Okay. Okay. So I guess the NWJS is like it bundles a. The thing that's disappointing about this is it didn't, you know, doesn't let you pick both. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so let's see what's in source. Yeah, we're gonna have to rename all this business. That's okay. We can figure that out later. Let's go ahead and make a GitHub repo for it. Create new repository. That's gonna be me. And we're gonna say Gleam Game Jam 2025. Fragile parakeet. Okay. We can make it public. It's going to be no Copilot. I don't care. I'm going to do MIT license. Git ignore Gleam. That works. I mean, some of this is just going to be. There's a git ignore in here already. Actually, let's just not do one. No git ignore. Okay. Okay. So then I just have to git remote add origin git at github.com. Sean Cribs. Gleam Game Jam. 25.git. Okay. So we have the license in there already. And for now, I'm just going to add all this. Generate Tiramisu template. Push. Okay. Made a new window. Okay. Buy old window. Okay, so we're going to have to do, there's a bunch of stuff in here that there's a bunch of stuff in here that we're going to have to just get rid of. And that's okay. The part that's not, let's look at the docs real quick. I want to know about if the, oops, wrong one. Here. The physics, what I don't know is if you have to add some package there. Let's look at the Gleam toml. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so there's the Rapier 3D. So I guess we get it. Let's look at Tiramisu. Because it's going to have some... Yeah, here's the Rapier FFI. Okay. So it's going to have this... That's fine. What would be ideal is if we download those packages. I guess they're in here. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so there's the dependencies there. So those will get installed. Okay, so we've got our game jam ideas here. I'm not gonna commit this, I don't think. Okay. All right, so looking at the common ideas, we talked about character controls and like UI. I haven't learned anything about UI yet, other than it's luster, which I've done luster. So I can figure that out, I think. But I want to look at character controls. So I still don't know what idea we're doing here. So let's make a new folder. And honestly, I'm just going to call it game. I don't really, this is not a thing that we're going to export as a hex package. So I don't need to be concerned as much with name collision. So let's make a file. Let's just call it controls. And aside from this, I think I want to get rid of here. We'll just make an empty scene with nothing in it. No camera. And we'll figure out which kind of camera we want to use. Later. Okay. Interesting stuff. All right, we're gonna get rid of that. And we'll just say for now there's an empty scene. The messages we're gonna have we don't know whether we're gonna have a physics world yet, so we'll just leave that as option none. And that's actually a thing I don't like that much. Import none. Here. I thought the prelude includes those, but it's possible they don't. I don't like qualifying those. That's just me. If you do, that's fine. No problem. But it's just not for me. Okay. So what I want to do now is think about how we can get controls. So let's look at Tiramisu input. And I think we looked at this previously, like buffered input and so forth. So there's gamepad state, which we will want to. Excuse me. Okay, so there's the enumeration of buttons. Gamepad axis. So the left and right stick. Okay. Say, is Gamepad connected? We could do that. What I'm wondering is, can we get a message? Because I think that like the Gamepad stuff is like, whether it's connected or not might be like an effect. Okay, so we're gonna have thresholds. Maybe that's something we'll want to be able to tweak. Okay, so we can apply dead zone. So this is, okay, so that's looking for a particular index. Gamepad. And this looks like a short, yeah, it's a short version of is Gamepad connected 0. Okay, so let's look at bindings. This input bindings type, map input to user defined actions. Okay, so I think so we're gonna have to make some UI for this probably. Okay, interesting. Analog input like gamepad triggers. 1 for digital inputs. 0 when not pressed. Okay, so if we have something like you could either use WASD or a gamepad, we might want to map like a keyboard thing to 1 on this, and then you could get finer control with a gamepad. Although I think the gamepad I have is not analog. I think it's digital, or like 0 or 1 only. But we'll see. Maybe what we can do is get a. It's not going to happen today, but because I haven't pulled out the gamepad to even see if it still works, we could get. We could get a visualization of whether it has fully analog or whether it's just digital. So. Okay, so the thing that okay. Was action press buffered? Okay, so we don't need to worry about input buffering yet. I think that's something we'll probably want for some fine tuning, especially if it's like our character movement or activity is going to require us to let certain things finish before the next action is taken, this is where we'd use a buffered input. If we just want things to happen immediately. It's like, say for instance, well, like in this example, if they're pressing jump but they're not on the ground, then you might want to buffer that. Okay. Okay, so I thought this was going to be more message based, but it's actually more immediate. You're just checking. So you make the bindings and then you have a mapping to the actions. So we kind of need to know what character actions can be done. But let's go ahead and make an action type here. And let's make let's make a default bindings, and this is going to return input bindings action, and this is just going to be input.new bindings. But then here what we'll do is we will, like, as we come up with actions, we'll add them as defaults. I think that's a good way to go. So maybe we can stub this out today. I don't want to spend too long on the stream today. I don't even really know when I started. So we'll see. And I didn't do any announcements, so if you're here, welcome. If you are seeing this later, know that this was spur of the moment. Okay, so maybe we can do, maybe let's do some like move actions, like move up, move down, move left, move right. Yeah, and that up might be forward or backward depending on the orientation of our game. I'm not sure what we want yet. So let's bind a key. And what does that take? Takes an input key, okay. So let's start with key W, move up. This is just assuming we're doing a WASD. Key S, move down. I just want to get a feel for this. And then we can maybe bind gamepad actions. The interesting thing here is that what we might want is something like this. Um, and what I mean by this is actually not that, but of input, or no, it's going to be action, because we want to display some UI, right? And option input key, and option of input like gamepad button. Something like that. Yeah, it's just saying it's never used. That's fine. We don't care. Okay, so that would let us say you can set a key bind for it. You can set a gamepad button for it. I guess actions, you don't really bind axes, but you might bind, like a gamepad button has D-pad. Right? All right, let's finish this up and add the gamepad bindings too. So, okay, so we'll have key A is move left, and bind key D is move right. Okay, and then I'm gonna, oops, I'm going to duplicate those, but let's do bind button, gamepad button, D-pad up. Let's just go ahead and edit all these. Gamepad button. And this will be D-pad. And this will be down. D-pad left, D-pad right. Yeah, because I thought if we did something like this, what you could do is, you know, store this dictionary in local storage for the user settings, and then you could loop through the actions and, you know, like create this bindings. At runtime or at startup time or when they change things. So maybe we'll refactor that later. Something like this for local setting storage. Okay. And remember, like, game development is messy. We're going to be messy for a while. Okay. So the only other thing that I might want to say is, like, maybe we have a menu toggle. And we can is menu toggle. And then maybe we do that with start. Okay. So what I might want to see out of a character controller, or just like input controller, is Okay, so we'll probably use is action just pressed for these like on or off type things. What I don't want to get into is, well, we might. Mm, I think that we'll want different things if we're in the menu versus if we're in the like the gameplay, because I think that for a lot of gameplay you might want to have things continuously pressed. I don't want to couple this too much to this. I mean, we kind of want to do something like this, but I don't want to get this. Um, I don't want to get this too coupled to what the game is. It's kind of hard with this sort of like action binding thing. Like there's semantics built in here. Of course, we can rename these variants whenever we want. That's not a problem. Um, so maybe what we could do is do something like. Do we want to bind any mouse buttons? I don't think so. Yeah, this will totally depend on what kind of game we're doing. Mm-hmm. There's also touch. Okay. I mean, I'm not intending to support mobile right now. Interesting, this is public. On those other ones, they're kind of opaque. Or no, they're defined as opaque. They're not kind of opaque. Okay, and we can deal with axes as well. Those would not be bindings though. So, okay, so maybe we have something like, and let's see here. This is, like we might want to do something like gameplay actions. And we're going to take the input state which I think contains the gamepad state. So, okay, for all input devices, right? Okay. And we'll take the bindings, which is going to be this. And then what we want to do is return a list of actions. Okay, so Yeah, I think what we do is go like, and this is just arbitrary, but what I want to do is to define that up here, and then we can do action priority list map. It would actually be not map, but like try map. No, like, let's look at list. Clean list. Filter map is what I want. Or maybe just filter. That's probably the easiest. Yeah. So we'll do list filter. And this is the action. We want to do here, where'd my tiramisu go? We just do input action is action pressed. Yeah, and I think the interesting thing for this is we'll have different classes. Like these are continuous. Let's rename this. Let's say continuous actions. And we'll remove menu toggle from that. Let's say instantaneous actions. Okay, and this will be menu toggle, be the only one in there right now. Okay, so actually what I want to do is so let's do instantaneous actions, and we'll say is action just pressed. So that's like press this frame. And we'll take the state and the bindings and let's rename that to action so it's more clear. Okay, so we're gonna do let now is that, and then we'll do let ongoing is basically the same. I wonder if I could curry that with the underscore. I don't think so. I think it requires pipe, but input is action pressed. State bindings action. It's starting to feel like a pattern, which is a good feeling. And then we'll do list append now ongoing. Okay. We'll do in all actions as well. And we'll just do like so. Because what I want to do is have a, like, so we have the gameplay actions. I want to do a menu actions. So you could use the gamepad at the menu. That would be really good. And this will have the same. Now, what the let's say all actions. What the, I mean, maybe this is the wrong format right now, or like in the future. I don't know yet. And actually, I'll move menu toggle up. Like, I think that this feels like the sort of thing I would want to do. Like, especially, let's say we could do the Gradius style game. You'll want to be able to use W, A, S, and D like simultaneously. So like W, D, or W, A, or, you know, have left and right and up and down independent, but you can have, you know, horizontal and vertical movement at the same time. So you get full degrees of freedom in the 2D space. Or like if we're doing the platformer and say it's 3D, you want to be able to move forward and backward or like strafe, as well as move forward and backward at the same time. The other thing is that, like, we might want to be able to move forward while we're jumping or something like that. So so maybe this is like not, maybe we'll want more fine grains on it, but I want to get some basic stuff in here so that we can so that we can have the opportunity to go, like, in our tick action at the our tick message, right? When we're handling each update, we can go, hey, you know, get me the current actions, and maybe we have, maybe our model, and this is what could get interesting, is we could have we will have sub components. So like maybe we have different states, like if you're in the menu state, so like if we say menu toggle, we'll want to stop updating the game state. We want to display the UI, and then handle any controls once we're in that UI, differently than what we would do while the game is running, right? So that's the sort of thing I'd like to enable. And like when you're in the menu, you only care about instantaneous presses. So what I would like to see also is, like, I don't want to query each key when we're in the menu. I might want to do something like, just give me the pressed keys. I don't know that that's possible. What can we do with keyboard state? This update buffer thing, I want to look at this. It's not clear to me. Okay. Okay, so the buffered input puts them in there if it's just pressed. Interesting. Okay. I mean, that makes sense. Hmm. Okay, so the consume buffered action is like if you've checked, then and you actually do the thing that the user requested that was buffered, you consume it so it doesn't re-trigger on the next frame. That's interesting. Okay. We'll get into that at some point, I think. Okay, so as far as character gamepad and keyboard bindings. So I think that our next thing will be, we have menu actions, we have gameplay actions. I want to look at, let's look at UI, Tiramisu UI. Okay, provides luster integration in your luster init. Okay. We're not controlling luster though. So how would you, maybe we need to look at one of the examples here. Because here, UI overlay, let's look at this. Because I'm interested how they started up. Okay, where's start game? Start game is this. Okay, so you create your UI and then you jump into the Tiramisu loop. Okay. Okay, and then we just do like fixed. That makes sense. Okay, so init, update, and view are the luster things. Start game does. Okay, so yeah. So I think that we want to make a UI directory or UI module. Throw our stuff in that. We can keep our main game loop in the main. I feel like that's a good way to structure it. Okay, and they're separating game messages, right? Game messages from UI messages. So like there's, let's see here. Okay, so based on what the UI state is, what I want to see down here is where is the game sending the UI messages. So game effect. Okay, that's just aliased. Okay. Okay. Okay, so it's in effect, you like dispatch these messages to the UI. Okay, making that like manageable will be interesting. Um, okay, so there's pause and resume. So why is the game message receiving pause and resume? Okay, so there's pause game is going to the Luster app. So let's look up here. So UI message, start game, pause game, resume game, update score. Okay, so there's UI state. Okay, so when the UI takes the start game action, then dispatch. So this is the effect, right? Always returning effects. It dispatches to Tiramisu resume. Okay, and then pause game. Okay, so there's a bit of like circularity here that is weird. I get it. I think, but it's just making sure the two systems are in sync. So down here in the game update, like the button trigger when you're running, like on a regular tick, if you like press the pause key, which is space in this case, then you're sending a message pause game to the UI, which then updates its state and then sends a message pause back to the game. And then when the UI, so it's going to receive, so you're not sending resume game from the game, you're sending it from the UI, from some action being done here. Okay. So then it dispatches the resume message back to the game, and then when it gets to the next tick, then it starts doing its stuff again. Right, so the menu overlay, start game, there's the action, goes there, says, hey, resume to Tiramisu. Although I would probably do like, hey, like reset the game. Okay, and the HUD overlay is just like, scores and so forth. Pause overlay. Okay. One thing we didn't do when we were doing demos in the past few weeks is like make our IDs actually an enum. This is way better than strings. We'll get type checking as well as some useful things for that. It's also, I think it's more efficient, if I recall correctly, on the JavaScript side, so which would be good. Okay, I think I kind of understand how we can do that stuff that we want to do. I don't want to wrap up. I don't want to make this go too long. I know we've been only maybe on since about 11, but it's noon, and I have other things to do today. So maybe I'll get back on later if I have time, but I want to get some chores around the house done. So okay, so we've got the gameplay actions and the menu actions. So like we can do these. It's mostly about handling the state or handling what the meaning of these actions are, or like, maybe there's a case to be made if you're in the menu and you're holding the up button, you don't want to have to jam it multiple times. You can just like hold it to go through. So maybe we won't do this all like this. We may say like customize this for particular things, like look at them more contextually and less like here's all the actions that are current. Okay, so I think what I want to do here is like I'm sitting here thinking about that, not sure if this is even useful at all. There's another thing that I just thought of. Which is this is gonna be bad. But and then what we could do is instead of this, like tuple of options, you could have any number of bindings and you can choose. I think the other way to think about it might be more of instead of this, what we have is because I wanted to be able to sort of display the actions by their keys, but maybe we can compute that at runtime. Or I mean, like compute that as needed to display. Because I'm thinking sort of like there's a key binding menu, and you have like forward, and then you have some options for what it could be bound to, and we say like, okay, well, W, and then D-pad up, and we have a display like that, and you could clear it out, or you could say rebind this to button A, like that sort of thing. But I think that I'm going to make this a little bit verbose because we don't want to conflict. So you could map a user input binding to an action is basically what I want. Yeah, let's play with this idea for a little bit, because I think that what we could do is turn this into a, hey, take our constant version of this dictionary and turn it into input bindings. So I think like let's write that so let's make this is me verbosely named function. It's fine. Okay, so we'll say bindings, and what we're going to return is an input bindings action, right? Okay, so this should be straightforward. This is going to be that we do a dictionary fold over the user bindings, and let's rename that to, it's not going to let me rename that, boo. We'll say user bindings. So let's fold over that with input new bindings. And then we're going to say, so dictionary fold takes the bindings and then the key and the value. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll do case key of, and we'll add the missing pattern. So it's either button, we'll do input.bind gamepad button of button to value. So value is in action. And this is going to take bindings as the first argument. So this is pretty straightforward, right? And we'll say key and match that out. Input bind key bindings key value. Okay, that's not so bad. And then what we can, the other utility I'd like to do here is so we'll refactor this in a moment. The other utility I'd like to do here is go like invert this. So we'll say UI bindings is a dictionary of action to list of user input binding. So it's possible something might not be mapped, right? In which case it'll be an empty list and somebody will have to set that, and maybe we can validate on that. But so we need things to convert between these two, and I think we can do that. So we'll say UI bindings. Let's say user bindings to UI, and it's going to be user bindings no, it's going to be, that's going to be UI bindings. Okay. So again, we're going to use dictionary fold. Over the user bindings, and we'll make a new dictionary. And this is going to be the UI bindings and the key and the value. And we need to do case dictionary. I guess we could do dictionary upsert. Let's say the empty one is going to be a dictionary from list. Well, because what I want to have is and this all actions is going to become useful. What I want, okay, so the empty, right, this is a UI bindings, we could just straight return it if we wanted to. It's just not going to be useful. So what I want to do is fold over the user bindings, and we're going to do an upsert. So or we're not going to do an upsert. What do we have? Update? Dictionary update? I think the main thing here is I want to make sure that all the actions are in the dictionary, even if they have no bindings, right? That's my main thing here. the thing is, I know it's going to be there, so, or maybe I just would prefer to use a case. Yeah, it's fine. Let's try dict upsert. Okay, so this will pass some or none, which we could potentially. Let's do it the straightforward way. Like, okay, so this is. Returning this, like, there's a key or a button pointing to an action into what are all the bindings for this action. And now we can do the inverse. Oops, messed that up. Okay. So this will ensure that we have potentially empty for all of them, right? Okay, so so let's do UI bindings to user. And this is going to take UI bindings and return user bindings. This is just simple transformation. I say simple, it's basically the same as this. So we're going to fold over UI bindings, and we're going to put them in a new empty dictionary. And this is going to be, we'll say user key value. Okay, and this one should be more straightforward. Since we've got, so that's the action. Right. Okay, so we're going to do, so we're going to fold over the value. And I think that this, let me rename this. Oops. This is going to be action. And this is going to be inputs. Okay, so I think that that'll clarify this too. So if we're folding over the user bindings, this is going to be input, and this is going to be action. And then that'll be a little bit more clear about what's going on there. Nope, keep those returns in, please. Okay, so we're going to fold over inputs, and we're going to pass the user dictionary in there. And this is going to be, so we'll just shadow it. It's fine. so we're just going to add a single input. So we'll do insert into user input action. Okay. Maybe that's not the most clear. It's definitely simpler than this one because we don't have to construct. We only care about the what key or button points to what action. We don't care about making sure all actions are populated. Okay, so maybe what we can do then is to wrap this up, instead of this, we can define. We can either define it like this or we can define it like this. And I think I want to do the UI bindings. So we'll do dictionary from list. And these need to be action and then this. So we're going to say, we'll say move up. Okay, this you can't call it. Never mind. So let's just make it a list then. And then we move up, and then we want a key input key W. And we want a button input D-pad up. And then we'll do the same for the rest of them. And we're going to say move down. And this is key S, D-pad down. Move left, key A, D-pad left. Move right, key D, D-pad right. And then the last one is menu toggle, and we want that's escape. And what do we say? Start. Okay, maybe that doesn't need to be pub, but what we can do, since we can construct a list at any time, we can do won't this be fun? Okay, so we're going to take default UI bindings, and we're going to pipe that to dictionary from list. And then what we want to do is UI bindings to user. And then we want to do user bindings to input bindings. We could even combine these two into a single function, but that's okay. I feel like this is a good place to stop for the date. And we'll come back tomorrow. Day 1. And you know, we didn't get that much. We got some nice binding stuff. I think I'll like get on some UI tomorrow maybe. For setting the game controls. Okay. if you saw this, thank you. I'll see you tomorrow at the regularly scheduled time, and and then we'll hopefully get a lot done. Thanks.